I kind of looking at it like, let me see how I can explain this. Like having kids is kind of like his advantage. Like I got a daughter that's 16, right?
Mm.
So like she's in training right now, and I'm about to hand her a cash flowing asset. So like I'm about to build an empire based off the kid. You know what
Got
I'm
you, got you,
saying?
got
Like,
you.
so my daughter doesn't have a cash flow asset. The boys is 10. They twins. Them, um, they're more financially literate than a lot of adults are. So um, when it's daytime, you know, we gonna go. We gonna make it do what it do. But with the boys, I think it's more about high school placement, right? Like people think about college placement. Nah, it's more or less high school placement. You notice like the cats that go to like St. Mary's or St. this or St. that always end up doing some shit. So for me, that's like my focus right now.
Got
So,
you.
so I'm sending the boys to Europe. The niggas gonna play with Barcelona. You know what I mean? Like, you know, um, I'm dead ass like stacking just to put all my money in the kid and in my kids because I just feel like that's a better investment than any one of these other vehicles. Because you'll never know what these kids gonna do, man. Give them a little push.
Nah, I definitely feel you. But now
I,
speaking,
but aside from that, like I'm not doing nothing different. I'm just um, I got my new book coming out. You know, um,
which book is that?
I don't know what it's called yet.
What is it gonna be about though?
Um,
Come on, son. You can't
you know
drop
what it
that you working on a
is
book and not let
I
niggas know.
couldn't tell you what the book is about because I understand it, but I don't understand it well enough to communicate it. So if I try to explain it to you right now, it would just sound like a bunch of different things. Um, the purpose is really to like educate people on politics and economics. That's the purpose. But I'm gonna expose a lot of shit. I'm gonna expose a lot of dirt.
But
A lot of shit gonna get exposed.
but I know you said your kids are like more financially literate than a lot of adults. So now, like, how do you, how do you explain that dichotomy of the importance of money, but also the fact that money isn't real? Or have you not even, or have you not gone that far with them as of yet?
Well, they understand intellectual property, so they understand that value is created. It's not in the money. You know, when you teach kids money, they knowing that money is just a tool, a means of exchange is like day one shit. If you as a teacher understand money, but when I teach anybody money, um, I would teach it just like in the book Bitcoin Standard, man. I would teach it the same exact way about how money is just a means of exchange, but the value is created somewhere else.
Yeah, but the reason why I think this kind of particularly important right now is when you got the Fed, like we just said, putting out trillions of dollars every week in quote unquote bailouts for corporations. I mean, right now it's not going to affect our actual cash flow at the moment, but we have to, the effects of the inflation are going to hit us eventually at some time. And chances are our kids are going to be the ones who really got to pay for it, realistically, the way they devaluing the currency. Like, how are you just coming to grip? Because even me, sometimes I'll be thinking, I'm like, this shit is crazy. Like, when is this shit gonna all collapse? Because this shit is not like none of the numbers even make sense. Like, if you do the math, like the total is just the spending and the debts has become to levels that they're never gonna be paid back. So, like, what is real? What is not? Like, what's gonna happen?
It's gonna collapse when they want it to collapse, and then it's gonna move to Africa, and Africa's gonna become the new America.
Whoa,
I don't know
whoa,
what year
what?
it is, but that's what's gonna happen.
Wait. So, wait, say that again, man.
Um, like you said, it's gonna crash. America's gonna crash, and everything's gonna move to Africa, and Africa is gonna become the new America, just like it was in the ancient world.
Is this something that you think is gonna happen in our lifetime? Somebody just wrote that.
I mean, it's happening
somebody
right
just
now.
wrote that
It's
doesn't
happening
matter.
right now. The Chinese is in Africa heavy. The Dutch have been there. The German have been there. The French have been there. Spanish are there. You know, they're all there. You know, um, China's there. So the
But
only thing
my
that is missing
impression
from
is
Africa is the infrastructure.
my
And that's
impression
why
is that they're there just to strip the Africa for minerals and resources, but not to actually set up shop to live there.
Nah, the best kind of slave is an American slave, and that's why you want to take the same African population and turn them into slaves, just like Americans are slaves today. You be slaves of the Constitution, you be slaves to your football games. That's the best type of slave, a slave that's happy. So the only way to enslave them is to give them a couch, a TV, running water, you know, the best things in life. And you got a slave for life, you know. But if things keep going the way they are, you know, people in Africa are going to die, or, you know, it's just, you know, a lot of war. You can't really, you know, make too much money except off of war. So, you know, but eventually, yeah, it's just going to happen, man. It's going to be, you know, and there's nice parts in Africa right now, you know, where you can go and it's beautiful. Bill Gates is building his own city.
Well, Bill Gates is doing that's his experiment place of choice.
Bush got Kid Gamboni city. He building his own city. He moving all the natives out, kicking them out.
Wait, Bush has a city in Africa?
Yeah, that's on the east coast of Africa, Tanzania. So you know, it's things that are happening right now. Like my mind is definitely on like cashing out and getting a compound in Africa at some point. I feel like that's mandatory. I feel like if you're not thinking about having a compound in Africa, you don't understand the future of the world.
So you think this shift is something that's going to happen within our lifetimes?
Potentially. You know, potentially.
That's deep. You know, I think it was Ghana. I think it was Ghana that was doing the year to return. That they were actually. Mm-hmm. They had like a whole year of celebrations and activities geared towards bringing continental Black Americans back to the motherland to have them come. And they were like, I think they give them like, you could get your actual citizenship within like 5 years or some shit like that. I'm almost positive it was Ghana, but I'm not sure exactly which country it was. So now, what do you think about, speaking of Africa, with these upcoming corona tests that they have for Africa?
But they've been testing on Africa. You've seen that French doctors want to test on them too, right?
Exactly. Now, what do you think? What do you think that's all about? Wrapped up in the coronavirus vaccine.
I don't know what's in the vaccine. I couldn't tell you what's in the vaccine.
Well, what's your stances on vaccines? Period. Do you not?
I know it's.
What's your stances on vaccines, period? Like, do you not fuck with any vaccines? Do you think some vaccines are good, some are fucked up? Because I think I'm like a some vaccines are good, some vaccines are fucked up person. I don't think like every vaccine is bad.
I believe all vaccines are fucked up. You know, yeah, I feel like that whole thing is just, and I've seen enough cases of people like M1's children. You know, M1's children don't get vaccines. You know what I mean?
Whose children?
Floating, chilling in life. You know.
Wait, whose children?
M1 from Dead Prez.
Oh, okay.
Natural birth, home birth. You know, there's a lot of Hoteps saying that you know operate like that, have been operating.
How
like
old
that
is this kid?
Because the mindset is different. The mindset isn't on, let me put something in my body to attack. Let me put something in my body to nourish. And that's what they do, you know. For example, when you go to the hospital, you give birth to your child, the doctors, they cut the placenta off. You know, Hoteps, you know, you keep the placenta attached for a week or so all those stem cells could download to the baby. And that's really what's going to make them, you know, somewhat, I hate to use this word impervious, but, you know, more defensive towards so-called viruses. You know, people don't even know what a virus is, but that's another story. Yeah, you know, like a lot of this comes down to understanding that what we're hearing in the news is fake science. What you're getting from your doctor is fake science. You know, like,
so
like the media not even talking about immune system. Like
So now when you
they
said,
talk about everything, but wear your gloves, wear your mask, but they don't tell you, yo, buckle down your immune system.
so now let me ask you this question: do you believe the virus actually exists, or do you think there's a whole fabrication beyond the actual existence of the virus, or do you think it is something that exists? Like, what do you think is going on?
It's just a flu, yo. It's like it's just a flu that and I believe they gave it to us last year in the vaccinations. I believe it's floating around out here. It could have came from the military, all that shit. It's all possibilities. But I got sick, like a real weird sickness. I was around all them Chinese people in January, and I got real sick as soon as I came back from Vegas. I was just really fatigued. I had a fever 101.5. It was real weird, real weird. It didn't even tasted different all in my throat. The mucus felt different. But, I ain't go to the hospital nothing like that. I toughed that shit the fuck out. Did my Hotep shit. I was good.
It's funny because there's a lot of people that, once they read up on the actual corona symptoms, they could kind of remember feeling that way within like the past year. I mean, outside of the shortness of breath, but they probably had like a fever, flu-like symptoms with like a high fever. And they just, did the same thing you did, brushed it off. But now it's actually being labeled and we got this whole public panic. So do you think we should have shut things down at all?
No. No, we shouldn't.
And just whoever died, I kind of feel the same way at this point. I'm not even going to hold you, son. Especially since you see these dudes reeling back and then now the numbers ain't as crazy as they thought they were going to be. So it's like, yo, really, what was all this shit for?
Right. Nah, this was about a consolidation of power in Congress and, all of that shit. Flex of power. This was a shakedown on small business. This was a big shakedown on small business. It was a shakedown on people that don't know how to invest. Because now you feel like, oh my God, I lost all this money. And you sold like a dumbass. But it was a shakedown.
Yo, and you know what the crazy thing is? I think it was more than a shakedown. It was a consolidation. Like, so these are one of the tentacles that I was saying like isn't factored in. Yo, there's a lot of small businesses that aren't coming back. Like literally, no matter how these loans, quote unquote, get rolled out, there's some small businesses that cannot survive the damage that they've already hit. Like even if you think about like a restaurant, like how long will it take society? Even if say the government says everything is back on next week. From next week forward, how long will it take society to actually be comfortable filling up a restaurant, sitting down in a restaurant? Because, I mean, I know for myself, like, I'm not really, I've been home, I've been learning how to cook and shit for, like, the last month. Like, I'm not really, like, fiending to sit in a restaurant with niggas, especially now that I know they putting all this shit out. So you got a small restaurant. How long does it even take them to recover, even when they, quote, unquote, start the engines back up and open the economy back up? So this is where I'm like, it goes into a consolidation where it's like you're going to have big corporations who have the cash flow to survive and who not only do they already have the original cash flow to survive, they're going to get the government bailouts on top of that to provide them additional liquidity. They're going to just start swallowing up all the little corporations. And it's like we're going into this track towards consolidation. And I don't think people realize we're going to literally lose all the options. Like everything is going to be one of the big players. Like anything we get, like even look how much market share Amazon just consolidated. This quarantine, how much irreversible market share did Amazon just get by forcing everybody to stay home? And the only way they could get most goods is through Amazon Prime. Yeah. Stores can't recoup that. Like they're going to be retail stores. You got to understand there's like 60, 70-year-old people that never really used Amazon Prime, but they've been using it for a month now. They're not going back to the retail stores that they were probably going to go to till the end of their life. You know what I'm saying? Outside of this month of circumstances.
Yeah, shakedown.
Son, hold on. Let me see what we got. Somebody wrote, I hope you guys are enjoying the taste of socialism. That's probably one of your niggas.
Yeah, I told niggas about this socialism shit. This shit trash. You practice socialism with your family. You practice capitalism with strangers.
So now, if you were the president right now, what do you think was the appropriate way to handle it? I think
this shit above Trump's head.